Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us. My name is Bryan Boehringer, and I'm the CEO of the Oregon Medical Association. Before we get started, I hope that everyone is safe and healthy, and I want to thank all of you for everything that you're doing to help get us through this pandemic. I also want to acknowledge all of you that have been impacted by the terrible wildfires and let you know that we're thinking of you. With that, I'm pleased to welcome you to the OMA's annual conference, Medicine Now, Leadership in a Time of Transformative Change, presented virtually for the first time. Because we have such a compelling lineup of speakers, we will keep our introductions brief so that we can devote as much time as possible to our programming. Our full speaker biographies can be found by clicking on the conference link on the OMA website. Staff will also add that link to the chat. There will be a limited time for questions after the presentations. If you would like to ask questions during the session, please use the Q&A box to do so. The chat function will also be enabled so that you can comment throughout the presentations. If you experience technical difficulties with Zoom, please contact Dan Joyce at dan@theoma.org for assistance. And with that, let's get started. I am very delighted to introduce the moderator for our conference, Dr. Elizabeth Lahti. Dr. Lahti is a clinical educator and hospitalist in the Division of Hospital Medicine at OHSU. She also serves as the Director of Narrative Medicine in the OHSU School of Medicine, where she teaches narrative medicine and reflective practice with a particular interest in identity formation and resilience through story. She also serves as the current president of the Northwest Narrative Medicine Collaborative. I would now like to invite Dr. Lahti to introduce the conference and our speakers. Dr. Lahti.
Thank you, Brian, and good morning to all of you wherever you are, whether you are in your Saturday best or still in your pajamas, having that first cup of coffee. This is my first virtual conference, and so I am looking forward to learning together. I'm thrilled to be joining you today for the Oregon Medical Association annual conference on leadership in a time of transformative change. And the times indeed have changed since the last time we all gathered here last year. The COVID-19 pandemic, calls for social justice, and wildfires scorching the West have upended our occupations, our schools, our social lives, our relationships, and our practice of medicine. And they have exposed the structural inequities that have put diverse communities at a disadvantage for generations. In just a few months, we have had to learn new ways to work, learn, communicate, play, connect with loved ones, and examine the painful disparities of our past and present. Today, we will not only discuss how to try to make sense of it all, but more importantly, how we can rise to meet the challenges and opportunities brought about by the forces that have so profoundly disrupted our ways of life. We know the challenges we face, but how do we look beyond the despair to build an aspirational healthcare system and a broader society that are sustainable and authentically equitable for all? We are in a time of transformation. It is a time to reevaluate and to reimagine. It is a time for leadership. Our speakers today are all innovators in their respective fields, serving on the front lines in their health systems, in public health, in healthcare administration, and in developing state and national policy. Through their stories, examples, and vision, we will learn how to evolve into leaders in our communities and our professions. And together, we can forge a transformative pathway into the future for all Oregonians. Today's speakers will appear in pre-recorded videos of their presentations, but they will be live for moderated questions at the conclusion of their presentations. If you have questions for the speakers, click on the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen, and we will collect those questions as the speakers are presenting and offer them for a conversation after their presentations. Before we begin, I'd like to introduce the sponsors who made this conference possible. A special thank you to CNA, the Partners Group, and Northwest Permanente. You will hear from each briefly throughout the conference. Thank you again for joining us today.